Now, these two are always buddy. Not gods and cap. Don't God stay where you. Lineups a little bit more because I.
Prepare for battle.
Play. Even with this Spectre, I fully expect them to play. Even with this Spectre, I fully expect them to play. Even with this Spectre, I fully expect them to play. Even with this Spectre, I fully expect them to
Yeah.
maybe play. Even with this Spectre, I fully expect them to
Yeah.
maybe play. Even with this Just can't kill the Deuce as a Storm. As we see here, still has 2 bottle charges and a clarity.
As it was.
Also, Sand King has terrible armor, right?
Yeah.
Especially early levels. Like that's why he struggled so hard in this top lane against the Shaman, who's got fantastic base damage. He just can't fight up.
Kills X Nova. Oh, they managed to get the stun first, but still. 2 to 5 now. Rotating into this offlane jungle. Not sure where he's headed. So he'll be pretty easily fine here. He got out of the top lane initially because of that big push, but now he returns to farm up. VP, with their push onto bottom lane, they're going to rotate into mid and see if they can take that tower with the Serpent Wards. And the positioning there of Roger into the back line. Ame finds Solo. Solo, who's not level 6 yet, has to be a bit careful with. And the positioning there of Roger into the back line. Ame finds Solo. Solo, who's not level 6. A lot of damage, but it looks like it will survive as VP not going to fully commit here. FY is going to be able to find Roger as he dips into the high ground here, hoping to be able to body block him long enough for Ame to be able to get the stun. And now Roger realizes that he's probably just dead. Solo realizes it too, so see you later, buddy. Can't save you here, so it's going to be 5-6 eventually.
They're gonna get him.
Hey, Roger's buying a lot of time. This is worth it.
Yeah, his Spectre's gonna push out the lane, farm some jungle, but nice nap by PSG LGD. I think Storm in this game though was very strong during this timing, and that's why VP wanted to take fights like crazy.
Yeah.
Because every Storm player knows like at some point the Deuce is gonna become too fat to fight into.
And that's where that slip up of no one is so costly, right? Like this is their core timing that they really need to establish dominance on the map, and him dying and just being out of the game for 30 seconds slows down that momentum.
I think they're thinking though that the Spectre will be the best hero when it comes to like the ultra late.
Yeah.
So I actually think that both lineups are quite even. If you think about like the strengths and weaknesses, there are like ways to shore up both sides. The ultra late.
Yeah.
So I actually think that both lineups are quite even. If you think about like the strengths and weaknesses, there are like ways to shore up both sides. The ultra late. Yeah. So I actually think that both lineups are quite even. If you think about like the strengths and weaknesses, there are like ways to shore up both sides.
He's turned to stone, so he's a little bit slow to get it out of here. And that's why LGD are kind of chasing him for now. He's going to return back to his regular form, but he's a bit too close to the tier 2 now. Darkseer gets thrown up in the air, but LGD just playing as that ball that you were talking about.
Yeah, you got to learn how to like connect to each other really quickly. LGD, I think, is really good at that. The speed at which they kill the Spectre and the Deuce is already running over. That's why she got caught out right there, is because she was on the way to connect to make sure that there are no holes in your defense.
Yeah.
You have to set up this moving wall to make your team feel very comfortable. And for VP, it's the opposite. They want to split you up. They want to try to move the map around so that they can set up with the Spectre haunt. The way the ideal fight goes is they catch one hero farming, Spectre haunts in, they get a quick pick off. Spectre's haunt also confirms if there's a smoke or anybody behind, so that you can make the read on where to go. And then the Storm has a very free game. Like, I love this Storm Spectre combo because, you know, you just give each other information.
And this information being given to Roger that he needs to get the hell out of here as Ame was rotating around to go for the takeoff. And
drops the wards so nobody can get close. FY had already committed the stun.
You gonna farm up the wards at least? That's gold.
Come on, man.
Yep. Where's my spin? Ame's got other business to do. He wants to go and take this tower.
8 CS though.
Yeah.
That's how you know that this guy, you know, he's not your typical pub player.
He's turning into, like, I feel like the Ame that I've seen so many years in the past would have definitely farmed up those wards, but of late, Ame's become such an objective gamer.
Yeah.
He just goes at these towers.
He realizes the timing of hitting this tower is more important. And look at this, their unit. Become a unit. Just move as a wall. Have FY sit in the back to be the counter initiation tool to save his Brimstroke, but just have your two tanky cores run forward like this. And if you're VP, you can't just let this go unchecked. I feel like you, even if you don't want to take a fight, you sort of have to like hold the line somewhere.
Yeah, you have to at least hold this tower.
Yes.
Can't actively take a fight because no Spectral, no Primal Split either.
That's one of those uncomfortable situations where you have to gamble, and they correctly gambled right there. They're like, guys, we just have to show up near bottom. We don't have haunts, and it might not look like the best fight, but we at least have to show strength in numbers. We can't just let them march down lanes, because, I mean, if you give good teams an inch, they'll take a mile. You let them take that tier 2, all of a sudden PSG LGD saying, oh, they have the same read of the game. They don't want to defend any of their tier 2s. Let's take everything. And gold leads like that snowball, but PSG LGD, they're still formed up. They're going to be this unit. They're going to drop.
Oh dear.
The stun.
It's an illusion.
Come on, guys.
That is why your smoke is not popped. Gonna pop on solo now as he drifts a little far forward, daring LGD to go on him because he does have the borrowed time.
I really like how VP, though, as a response, I love that they did decide to defend that bottom tier 2 by just showing up. Sometimes that's all it takes to deter people.
Yeah.
Is you show up with multiple heroes, you show 4 heroes on the map, and for PSG LGD, it's likely you win that fight, but do you really want to risk fighting under the tower like that? People have buybacks.
Yeah.
Haunt. Like, you're introducing a lot of X factors by fighting under towers like that.
Especially against the Storm Spirit with buyback, and like if you lose that fight, all of a sudden the Spectre is able to get Diffusal Manta, then your Medusa's game becomes a lot harder. He can't play. Like, he's been playing, you know, he'll be near his team, but in the general area because he knows he's tanky enough to survive. Primal Split not going to go off. He immediately gets silenced. FY's going to strike. This is looking bad until maybe no one comes in. Big Ready to get the sword right out. Challenge surges away, trying to run away from no one. He still has plenty of mana. The dagger is going to catch him in the final shot from no one. Will bring him down. FY spotted inside of his dance sword. Burrow strikes up to the high ground. A Sven stun comes out as well. No one is very low on mana, but the Sven gets tossed up in the air. He's getting kited around now. No one will come back to earth here and pull Ame back into the shrine area. VP's going to fight around as fast as possible. 3 dead from LGD. And will they pursue on the side of VP, or will they call it? Just happy with the win, as is a 1-for-3 exchange. They will not get greedy here. They are very content with the way that fight went.
Fantastic engage, and it looked like it was going to be all PSG LGD because they were able to trap out the Brewmaster before he got anything off. But what really hurt them there was they needed their 2 cores in the front line. They worked the wall. They need their DOTA and their Sven much earlier. They just responded too late.
If Sven is there and they burst the
it's done.
It's over.
If he throws down a Stormbolt into those 2 heroes with the Grim Soulbind, the fight is unwinnable for VP. But VP, I love the decisiveness. They're like, this is our opportunity. It's 3 heroes. Even if the fight looks initially bad, we still have to go for it. And it's these maneuvers where I think a lot of lesser teams would take a second to think about it, and the opportunity window would be missed.
Yeah.
They realize, like, even with 4, VP's like, we're not fighting into that DOTA Sven. We just don't have enough. But as long as we can kill everybody else, remove the disables from the team fight, maybe we can win it. And that's how you have to do it. You have to do guerrilla warfare. Snipe at these heroes that act as your disables. Then you'll eventually get to a point where you can 2v4 kite once your roster has things like Aether Lens.
A Blink Dagger's coming up soon for FY. Obviously, he got a great initiation into that fight, but maybe it'll make a difference for LGD as we move forward. They are still up by 2,000 net worth right now, and that Medusa is very far ahead of anybody else. 11,000 net worth for him, where you've got the Storm and Spectre just about to get over that 10K marker. Another smoke up, perhaps? Yeah.
I think this might be their last one. We just saw them back-to-back smoke, so this is going to be a pretty important one for them. They feel like the timing of the DOTA is so strong, and this time they're thinking they can take this fight. They're going to run into each other.
Pasha needs to be able to get up the Primal Split. They can't afford to get these chain disabled, so Silence is coming out, and it looks like VP is starting to retreat. The Silence stays on top of the Soulbind. He can't attack to no one is locked down, but the Primal Split does successfully go off. Sven getting kited around. He is going to be able to dispel that Warcry, making him much squish here, and the DOTA coming in. That turns the fight almost to no one. He's able to jump away thanks to a great body shield. Solo walking his way back. Ramsey's marching forward. He does manage to bring down the Sven. Fighting this out. He knows he's taking enough to be able to win this fight for his team. Even if the Brewmaster does fall. FY sitting inside of his stand sword. But Ramsey's a bit low now as the Medusa comes back in the fight. VP realized that they can't take it against this tanky core. So they will have to give up on the Shadow Shaman as well. Another great back and forth team fight as both teams, the ebb and flow of these engagements. If you just have the Primal Split not going off in time, that fight looks so much different.
Yeah, it was because of the Primal Split that the DOTA wasn't able to pop her ulti to save her Sven in time. I mean, the team fighting of both of these teams is absurd. Just the way that they layer things, they were barely able. The last swing was coming into Pasha as he pops the ulti. No one was able to get out because of the shield from Solo. His team fight positioning was perfect. At the bottom, you'll see the Shaman set up for the fight too. Roger walks all the way around to get the control on Ame to get the kill. Everyone on both sides. I mean, the amount of skill in this, look at him. From the bottom, drops the wards, finds the angle. That's perfect range usage.
That is a beautiful wraparound. I can't believe how low no one got as well there. Just so many things going the way of VP that LGD was not able to eke out. What once again looked like a strong start to a team fight. That's twice now.
I mean, this is what team fights look like when the teams are so evenly matched, and everyone's just fantastic at spellcasting. You're not seeing these like huge errors made on either side because it was the correct thing for the Sven and the DOTA to be there. They thought, well, what we were missing on the Brewmaster last time was that burst. But when you can't hard commit and the DOTA just gets tossed up into the air, it's a game of inches at that point for either side. Missing on the Brewmaster last time was that burst.
9-11, a very close game. As we're approaching the 25-minute marker. Only a 2,000.
Look at that. This is how even the game
win probability.
This is how even the game, like Dota thinks that this is a 50-50. And for me, it really feels like all of these team fights against lesser teams, like when we saw the series against Complexity or Mineski, the game is just over with that one fight. But both of them are keeping themselves, like they're giving each other fighting chances. The DOTA doesn't die in that fight. No one doesn't die in that fight. So you're not really seeing any advantage being given one way or another.
Now, it sounded like the way you set this whole entire game up, there's going to be a lot of power spikes back and forth between these two teams. We've got the Eye of Scotty now for the Medusa. That's got to be a big one for LGD.
Yes, because she needs that control. You see that once they lose the disable, the Spectre just walked away from her.
Yeah.
They were trying to do some cute body block tricks with the Darkseer Abaddon illusion, but we need some way to slow him down as
Preparing them to go on him, but they actually had a sentry down to be able to reveal the storm. They're going to get him. They pull the vacuum back into Solo as well. In the back lines, Ramsey tries to go for one of the squishy supports, but now he just wants to get out of here because VP, they've already lost the fight. Ramsey's going to try and dagger on through. Solo giving up his life to try and heal the Spectre as best as possible. Thing caught him outside of the trees, and now he dies like that. A double kill for maybe 3 dead on VP. We've had very even fights back and forth, but this one, LGD cleanly win, and it's off the back of being able to see that Storm Spirit with the Invis.
Yeah, it's just that vision that they have. So well done. The fight could have gone the other way, but VP very cocky. Storm's just running around saying like, I'm good. They're not going to be able to get a fight going. Guys, everybody run over. And it was just a complete trap.
I got to see that one again, too, because I see the sentry that's out there. He had to be barely.
Yeah, he was just on the edge of it. And it was just a know-it-all to say, like, we're going to drop a sentry. And it has to have just been for the ward. Because they don't have any smokes. Yeah. That was one of those, like, coincidental things that just...
yeah, you just kind of luck into and it works.
There's no way they knew about the invis, I think.
Because that's a very common dire warfare spot. Because you look for invasions. Yeah, look at that. He's just barely inside of that sentry area. And they just turned so quickly on him. You know, he was luck, a little bit of luck for sure, finding that opportunity, but they took full advantage of it. They reacted very quickly.
Yeah, and no one has to know, too, that it's just a really common D-ward spot.
Yeah, that's true.
For them to go for. But we'll pay for that hubris with his life, as maybe this is what PSG LGD needed to break this game open.
Yeah,
and again, you see, it's the wall that they formed. In that team fight, all together is 5 at all times. Be together is 5, don't chance anything, run down lanes together.
We said that's the fight that cracks open the game. 7,000 net worth lead, and now PSG LGD going for Roshan. But it looks like VP, they're not just going to let Sleeping Dogs lie. They are going to try and fight this one out, as they are not willing to give even more of an advantage to LGD. They approach the Roshan pit, and LGD quickly scatters.
Yeah, I'm not sure if their Roshan taking ability, you have to commit God Strength for that.
Yeah, it's so slow. They don't have any Midas armor, right? They've got like no medallion on their team or anything like that.
Fresh 10-second BKB picked up by Sven. This is going to be massive for him just to not get tossed up into the air repeatedly.
So when's the next swing the other way? Like you said, VP thinks the Spectre is going to be the best hero in this game. What's the next item that she needs?
They have to. I think they have to feel like she is. I think she needs her level 20 plus. It's always going to be the level 20 plus the like the next item, like Butterfly or Scotty, whatever.
Whatever that tanky item is. Solo. It instantly pops his bar behind time, but he actually popped it a little bit too early, so he still receives a full stun duration, which means he's so slow to be getting back to the tier 2. It instantly pops his bar behind time, but he actually popped it a little bit too early, so he still receives a full stun duration, which means he's so slow to be getting back to the tier 2. It instantly pops his bar behind time, but he actually popped it a little bit too early, so he still receives a full stun duration, which means he's...
Yeah, and when it comes to teams like this, I think it's always a numbers game. So I think they thought about going for the Roshan, but it looks like they're going to back up, reset the lanes a little bit, and it is the Scotty.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be the Scotty or the Butter. It's like one of the two. But he's going to be an item timing behind because he also needs the MKB against the DOTA. Like somebody needs, they either need a Bloodthorn or an MKB to be able to deal with that DOTA.
And that's probably, you think maybe it's going to build into the Bloodthorn? I mean, it's a natural item for you, right?
For no one.
Sorry, no one. Excuse me. You think maybe it's gonna build into the?
Yeah, I mean, it just doesn't feel great because I think DOTA has Manta, right?
Yeah. So your Orchid side has feels terrible, but they are gonna be able to catch
Roger.
Very, very dead.
You notice that for VP the game has changed ever since that top engagement.
Yeah.
It's no longer let's just ram heads and we'll use our superior individual skill that bails us out. Because VP, they're so talented mechanically, like everybody fights so well that against most teams they can just kind of bludgeon you with that.
Yeah.
Like even when they're even, like we saw against Mineski, they eventually will win out. But against this game now, you have to split the map up.
Yeah.
Because they're so evenly matched, they can teamfight just as well as you. I think this is a very mirror-esque type of matchup, especially with the drafts that we have. But now the game is switched for VP. Now it's let's split push, hope that they don't. The way to counter this like 5-man moving wall is just to get more on the map by splitting it up at all times.
Yeah.
Do the alliance style, push out the side lanes, like the cores stand on opposite sides of the map, and eventually we'll catch somebody unawares. That's how you deal with this at this point.
And I feel like they do have the very elusive cores to be able to make that kind of play. I mean, we see the Spectre being pretty far out there a lot of times. They're going to try and go for the 30-minute bounty runes. There is going to be maybe here's just going to march forward. They do manage to pick up the bounty rune. Spectre is very tanky, though. It's going to take a while to be able to bring him down, especially since they've already used the stun, so they're going to go for Solo instead. Pasha is going to walk away. Look at Ame boosting forward just to make sure he grabs the bounty rune.
You think you rush with this God String?
They're near the Roshan pit, but doesn't look like it. Maybe with the AC, that'll be a big damage upgrade for Ame as well as minus.
I just figured since they use it anyways and it is a 4-on-5, there was an opportunity to do so.
Even just an opportunity to see if LGD will take a fight.
Yeah, because I think for PSG LGD, the next objective to win this game is to get that Aegis onto your DOTA and just let her glide along lanes. Then it's suddenly like, well, you have to come at us.
Yeah, it's such a great high ground hitter at that point, where killing DOTA once is a bit troublesome. Twice seems impossible.
I think it already feels it feels incredibly difficult at this point anyways.
Yeah.
But at that point, Aegis DOTA, like VP at very, you pop your 2 ults, and if you don't kill her once in that, you definitely lost the fight. And even then, it's a gamble. If you kill her once using the Bruce Split plus the Spectre Hunt.
Yeah. VP is doing a pretty good job here, splitting up the map. They may not be able to get quite as much farm as LGD is when you just kind of own the map and farm anywhere you want. It's a bit difficult to keep up, but they are getting those next round of items soon.
I think this game is much more, it's probably like 70-30 at this point, but 30% is still very good for...
That's pretty on point, Blitz. Pretty on point. I think that's about 70% right there.
Yeah, I think this game's like 70-30 right now. So VP still have a way to win, and the way that is you just keep tossing the DOTA up into the air repeatedly.
Yeah.
You have to ignore her. The way that good teams fighting around DOTA, and VP's a good team, is ignore her. She doesn't have a BKB. She'll just be tossed up into the air forever. Keep that Spirit Pen alive. Toss her, deal with everybody else, get to the back line, kill FY and the Grimstroke first. The Darkseer alone doesn't deal a lot of damage. He's like an enabler in a way, so it's really just, you kill the Sven at that point. You play Ring Around the Rosie with him.
We did have some damage problems. The Radiance picked up by the Brewmaster will help solve that a bit as we've got that damage over time. Even the missed chance is going to help a lot.
Yeah. I like that Radiance pickup a lot because maybe, you know, he's shown that he isn't going for something like the MKB or the BKB. As Solo's going to walk in.
And with the AC, looks like LGD are finally willing to fully commit to taking this Roshan, but VP, they cannot just let this happen. They're going to take away all the mana from Pasha to jump in from no one, trying to go for the back line with the Glimmer Cape as well as the War Cry. They have the Crimson Guard as well. There's so many ways to make these supports tanky.
Protect your supports. That's what they have to do. And you see no one. He's looking for a reach. Next is going to pop in. No one trying to go in. They aren't able to pick it up quite yet. The Medusa does manage to snatch it away. And VP take the kill. Immediately Shackles goes down. They do toss him up in the air. Ame with his BKB. He is so hard to fight it right now. That's why Ramsey's going for the back line as best as possible. Can't see FY inside the sandstorm. So Zed going for challenge right now. Helping with the control. He's in the air. Oh no, he gets stuck with Burrow Strike. Now the Chief's done as well. But the F-Body Shield actually managed to keep him alive. Keep him in the air. Himself away. Throw that time in the air. Can't able to get it off. And now the Medusa's damage starts coming in with the epicenter as well. Spectre going down to half health. Boston in trouble as well. Spectre trying to get up into the trees. He's okay for now. He's able to just glide along this cliff area. Goes to the TP. Actually spotted though. He gets knocked back down as his spectral dagger. That buff went away. He gets knocked out of the trees. In division. Stops the TP. 80 seconds on the clock for him. LGD with the big win. Very important that they grab that Aegis too. And what a buyback from FY, because it looked like it could have gone the other way in VP's direction, but the epicenter over the top just cleans house. And Pasha did such a good job in that fight. Yeah. And he threw her up in the air 3 different times. And you saw that Ame was also really smart. He's like, I'm going to all in for this win with this Wind Panda. He's like, I can't allow this to happen. Yeah. So he used that entire time finding it. So it was a cat and mouse game where Pasha's like, I'm going to run it away invis. You don't have vision of it. And it looks really awkward.
Do you think that, like, the next step for LGD is you gotta have detection?
Yes.
Very smart to target that Wind Panda.
You can allow her to get tossed up once, I think, but she almost got tossed up 3 times in the air. You saw that he was going for it a 3rd time when she popped that Manta, and his timing on his ulti just ran out. But being able to keep her in the air and isolated for that long is so important for them. As I think she does have to build, I mean, she's got to build some sort of item that doesn't allow that to happen, whether it be BKB. I don't think she loves building BKB in this game.
Yeah.
But it can't feel good to just consistently be knocked up in the air.
Butterfly, and it looks like deciding to build an MKB next. In this position, LGD looking just to run into the high ground because Virtus Pro have already shown it's a bit tough to win these engagements. The BKB up for the Storm Spirit though. That can really help when it comes to committing and killing that backline as best as possible. They're going to try and get a bit of harassment damage onto maybe here. Burn him out. Slow down damage. Now no one makes that jump. Goes to the end. But again, he really goes for the back line. Trying to finish off FY, but he managed to get the Eagle Scepter down. Now the Soul Fight is actually locking no one in place. He's still trying to go for that kill. Nova actually does end up falling to his own Spirit there as Ramses tries to head into trees once again. This time he will be successful, but FY managed to juke out no one. Blinks himself away. He's going to be good for now. That Storm Panda continuing to throw off the Medusa in the air, but now the Primal Split is dead, and they spend in Medusa. They don't have a way to be able to deal with them. They just lack the damage. So maybe pushes forward once again, looking to be able to finish off that melee barracks.
And VP, they do have a numbers advantage. And if there's gonna be a chance for them, it's here. The Grimstroke is dead.
They have to kite him around. Very important that the Shadow Shaman stays alive here as they need those disabled. Fortunately, Solo is able to help that out. Now the Epicenter coming back in. They're gonna try and finish up Pacha here. Pacha does manage to limp. Wait, no one. Oh no, he got stunned, but the body shield goes up to the side. The blood shield able to keep him alive. He's maybe in trouble here though. He just gets run down by LGD. Ramsey's trying to limp himself away, but looking like this is all over for VP as they are running out of buybacks here. They're running out of ground to retreat to as they head to the fountain, but they're chased all the way to the door of it and they can't make it through. The door is shut down on VP as well as the door on this game 1. PSG LGD. A great start to this series for them.
Fantastic game 1. With both sides, and what blew it all open, that invis room where they spotted him, the game was even to that point.
It goes to show, I mean, these two teams
so high skilled. Very interesting drafting as well. The game's just going back and forth, but it really goes to show that there's only these little bits and pieces when these teams. Very interesting drafting are the game's just going back and forth, but it really goes to show that there's only these little bits and pieces when these teams are.
PSG LGD's turn to pick. PSG LGD's turn to pick.
Exclusive. I mean, there's still a gust, which can be sometimes annoying, but besides, I mean, he's got pretty free reign. Like, when you don't see an instant disable or some way to just get a lockdown on the Ember, like, you can play around Bane's animation, you can play around Drow's animation pretty nicely.
Absolutely. Pretty disappointed we're not going to see all three Spirit Brothers in this series. All the supports have been taken, so...
Oh, no, they could be.
No, LGD could take it.
No.
Oh, Nyx. Well, we haven't stopped talking about Nyx. Tsunami's gone, and
he's finally here.
One of the best heroes versus Ember Spirit, because you're just, you know, Flame Guard is your best way to farm and push out waves. Flame Guarding is now a huge risk, because you're versus a Storm and a Nyx. You just set yourself up to get 5-second disabled.
And a Bane, too. I mean, their stuns are kind of out of this world on the LGD right now.
Nyx is also very good versus Enigma. It's really hard to play this hero, at least if you want to be playing at all around your black hole, which they probably won't. It's just going to be your standard aura build, but you always are going to walk in, you're going to try to midnight pulse and then hole. And even if you do just hole, Nyx just walks into it with Carapace and it cancels the hole. Most of those situations.
Well, doesn't Nightmare count as a stun, by the way?
Most of those situations. I mean, it's a stun,
Statistically?
but it's like a...
oh, on like the numbers and the breakdown. Don't know.
Who's Chalice playing on LGD, do you believe?
Either the Nyx or the last pick. Not sure what they're going to go for. Well, the Leshrax Nyx Lesh has been a dual lane we've seen a lot of. Could see like a Shaman with the Nyx Assassin if they want to do a 3-position Nyx, but see what LGD have in mind.
Very worried about Chalice keeping up his 0 stuns if he's playing the Nyx. Could impact the team very much if he does not land a single stun.
I don't know why every time I think of Chalice I think Beastmaster, but I don't know, it's still coming to my mind for some reason.
Impact the team very much. Alright, Templar Assassin knocked out here.
Every time I think of Chalice I think Beastmaster.
That is not the worst, I actually think. Interesting, they don't really have any damage over time abilities to get rid of that shield, so makes sense to me. That would be a pretty strong pick here. A Shrek as well.
That means they're expecting us the side lane Ember.
Yeah.
Banning that TA.
I don't think anyone runs mid-Ember. Like, only Mineski runs mid-Ember.
Tops and OG.
Tops. Ah, good point. But that's just kind of taken over, right? You just run that hero in a lane now. Yes!
Oh, where do you lane Ember now? The matchups are really hard.
The jungle.
I mean, that was always, I guess, the Ember vs Storm is still okay.
Where do you lane Ember now? The matchups are really hard.
The jungle.
I mean, that was always, I guess, the Ember vs Storm is still okay.
Where do you lane Ember now? The matchups are really hard.
The jungle.
I mean, that was always, I guess, the Ember vs Storm is still okay. You know, if they want to play fast and use these big ultis to take objectives, they need that objective taker. Like, who's going to be hitting buildings, who's going to hit Roche. The TA was a mid with physical damage. Maybe they just have to put the Ember mid now and get some kind of Ramses objective taker.
There's some damage. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
I mean, they needed something to take objectives there, and that's fast-paced too. Now they've got Ember and Ursa, the ones that don't have to play around their ultis. You look at the first 3 that we were talking about, long cooldowns.
However, if Virtus Pro don't do very well in this early game, what are their chances of coming back into this game with this kind of draft? I mean,
It's
this is rough. Really?
It's they don't have that big late game scaling carry necessarily, but they've got the team fight. Like Enigma in super late game can always be a threat if you get BKB Blink with the Lincolns and what's going to cancel your black hole. So it's not out of the question that they can take a late game, but they do want to take a lot of early objectives, have Roche control, and put LGD on the back foot.
All right, what do you think of Vogt out of both these drafts?
Want me to go first?
Please.
Want to go first? I'm still really liking LGD. I think they've got super comfort heroes. Maybe he's been the most dominant Storm in this tournament, and he's got a Drow aura to boot.
You think Necrophos is going to have a big impact on this game?
I think he's kind of like this soaker. He just like, come at me. I'm going to make the space. I'm going to just run at you, make you go on me, and give space for my Storm and my Drow Ranger to kind of catch up. They might even run some aggro tri-lane to put pressure on. So yeah, I'm liking LGD again.
Gods.
You give me this look like, please disagree with
Gods,
do it.
You do it
for the
do what's
stream.
right. Do what's right in your heart. Don't. This is a major. All right. Say what's real.
I think I'm going to go with LGD. I don't think the draft is a completely one-sided affair. I think VP have put themselves in a better position than the last game, but I think LGD just looked kind of unstoppable based on game 1.
All right, well, we're going to find out right now as VP and LG fight. Don't forget, VP lose this one. That's it for the major, the guys who have won the most. Let's hand it on over to Capitalist and the Blitzmeister. Spicy.
Hey, you got it right this time. That's right, VP versus LGD Game 2 is about to go underway. Blitz, it sounds like the panel once again favoring LGD quite a bit.
Yeah. The question
Surely you're going to disagree with them, right?
No, I kind of like PSG LGD's lineup again, because I feel like it's easier for them to win. I think that VP can win. Like last draft, I would have said it was like 55-45 in favor of PSG LGD.
VP versus LGD starts now.
I think that VP can win. Like last draft, I would have said it was like 55-45 in favor of PSG LGD.
VP versus LGD starts now. I have to say, Blitz, I was getting chills hearing the chants come out from the LGD fans, giving me a little bit of reminiscing to TI.
Yeah, shout out to our ops team too, Caro and JJ.
Done an excellent job for us. People were asking about the battle pass. Is it muted? No. So you could see LGD and VP having their funs with it. We're going to have the batting room spotted out. Looks like Lion's going to try and slip into the back line here and try and take it away from the Drow Ranger. Gives up on that. So we're going to have 2 for 2 once again. What are the big problems for that VP have to overcome? How are they going to be able to make this go to a game 3?
I think usually when drafts work out, like 2 good teams, they're stronger at one phase of the game, right? That's just how it goes.
Yeah.
And both teams, like last game, for example, I thought that VP was not favored to win late, but I thought they were favored to win the early and mid game. So, and you have to abuse those timings. And I think we're in almost the exact same situation, where I think if the game goes ultra late, LGD, PSG LGD, like have much more ways to just like win.
Yeah.
They push towers fast, they take objectives quickly, their team fight's easier to execute. I think Dro is fundamentally just a really good hero right now. Most of this tournaments come down to like, do you have a Dro solution?
Yeah.
And so I think in that regard, like, I prefer PSG LGD's draft. The way that VP can win, and we should always talk about this, is like the way that a team can win is you just all in assault in the early mid game. Run at them, take early fights, push down towers where you can with your Enigma, get him an early hum of the Dom, let Roger do his own thing, get a fast hum of the Dom, like power level him up essentially so that he can get power hitters.
They've got really snowball heroes here, but Solo is going to come in from behind here. No one activates his Flame Guard. Also going to pop the Flame Guard as well. He does have a sleight of fist to be able to finish off maybe if he could just get that last shot in, and it is good enough to secure first blood.
Yeah, this is exactly what you need as a start. Be aggressive on the map at all times. Don't give PSG LGD's lineup time to breathe. That's how you beat it, because the amount of movement that they can make is sort of limited to this Storm Spirit. Like the Storm Spirit has to connect to other lanes, so if you slow down his game, you can be successful. If you 5-man up early enough and just take like this guerrilla warfare style, like we'll take fights non-stop, I think you'll also be successful with your lineup. But when it comes to like the ultra late / the later stages of the game, like if you give PSG LGD an Aegis on the Storm, then I think the game becomes very hard.
And a large part of that has got to be down to this one of the last picks here from LGD. They went for the Necrophos, which is definitely a greedier option when you already have the Storm and Drow Ranger. But VP, even though they're like the 1-to-1, there is a counter there where you don't feel good about playing the Ursa against this Necrophos. You're just talking about the pace of the game. You don't necessarily need the hero counters so much because so many of those were banned away. We have the Naga Siren ban, we have the Spectre ban. It's not a good sniper game. Like, those are the 3 cores that we saw matched up against Drow Ranger match. But there is a way just to be able to take the pace of the game against this lineup.
Yeah, and I think this is always really important to think about is it's not always does this hero counter everything, but it's also does this hero sort of fit stylistically in what we want to accomplish.
Yeah.
Because they needed a Roche hitter, I think, to take away from the Storm's potential from being able to do it at all times. That's what I think they lacked a little bit. Like their Roche taking ability, aside from dropping Shaman Wards, was kind of lackluster.
Bane is definitely one of the early fighters, but there is a lot of Eidolons here. Together with FY, they're going to try and go into Roger, who's been rather disruptive for this lane, and he's been pulling it back to the favor of that Ursa.
Doesn't look like he should die here, but he's going to be forced away. Meanwhile, bottom lane, they do manage to get on top of this Drow Ranger. They have Solo with the double disables, and Pasha's just going to try and run him down as best as possible.
Yeah, I don't love
like
that.
they couldn't dive.
I don't love that they just ditched him there. I don't think Dro can play against Brewmaster Lion.
No, that doesn't sound like a good lane.
Mid lane, he tries to dodge the Remnant.
Missed it though and took a lot of damage as a result.
Yeah, still a Storm favored matchup, especially with the Drow Aura. Not nearly as bad in the early game anyways, when it used to be about the attack damage that you get.
Yeah.
The attack speed, you see it much better later on.
Solo trying to secure runes for this Storm Spirit, or for the Ember Spirit rather.
I love that PSG LGD, the biggest takeaway was from this TI was just spam more voice lines than you previously did. That's what OG, that's the second meta that they set.
I mean, that's two different ways Zombies being a lot more aggressive. Both when it comes to taking towers and when it comes to spamming those voice lines.
They probably practiced it. Like, Ame just did that while he was harassing. As they're just all chatting him away, trying to break the focus of VP, who is down in this crucial best of 3 in the lower bracket.
And VP has said multiple times, they do not actually want to slow down that much, even though they've secured their ticket to TI.
Of course not. I don't buy into the narrative that they don't care about this tournament. All the best teams are left. Yeah. This is your one of your last chances to be able to say, like, we're the best team in the world. I think it's the next one that you chill on.
Yeah.
But on this one, there's still enough time between TI to establish your form, kind of go with the ideas that you have about Dota, figure out some heroes that you might think are on the up and up. Time between TI to establish your form, kind of.
Bounty runes, Pasha manages to get both.
And it looks like he's going for the creep wave. No. Back just gonna TP out.
Yeah, there's a decent amount of CS there that he was missing out on, so he wants to get back in the lane as quick as possible. Chalice has been doing relatively well for himself here, as kind of expected, but they're going to try and go into him now, and he's already built up a lot of Fury Swipes with the double disable. He doesn't get the chance to pop the Ghost Shroud.
This has been talked about ad nauseum, by the way, in other casts, but Solo is not your typical 5-position player. He's not sitting bottom, stacking and pulling waves, sitting there being passive. He's made the 2 big kills in this game happen on both cores.
Oh, they're going to go again. He just TP'd in. He cannot afford another death here, but it's going to be hard as they are able to dive the Chalice immediately here. They're just going to keep going for Chalice, who's already built up so much damage. Every single swing is doing tons and tons. Chalice is going to go down here. Ramsey's quite low, but they do manage to get more stuns on X-Nova. Now he's just out of mana. Power area. Nobody, and this is the problem. The greed of the LGD lineup. You do not feel comfortable moving heroes out of these lanes.
Yes, and VP are doing exactly what they need to. Be aggressive at all times. PSG LGD's lineup, their rotations just aren't going to be as strong as yours with the types of heroes that they have. You have to stay aggressive at all times, carry this into the mid game, and just bludgeon them with being ahead in net worth. If you are going to win this game as VP, this is the start that you needed.
The Necrophos now with a Walk of Shame back to the lane.
The downside, though, is that
the
laning phase is still very good for the other 2 cores.
Yes.
Like, the Storm Spirit has had completely unchallenged farm, 45 CS in 6-7 minutes. That's absurd. The Dro in a similar situation, since this is the downside of Solo not being your traditional 5-position, is that he's not going to just sit there and want to harass somebody out of the lane.
Yeah.
He wants to fight. This guy wants to establish his early presence. He wants to be felt.
Chalice trying to take some of these Eidolons, but thanks to the Helmet Dominator, they can get some harassment damage on him. Trying to ruin his game as much as possible. A 4-0 lead for VP, but not much of a net worth lead. As you said, the other 2 lanes are going quite well for LG. Drow Ranger and Storm Spirit pretty much free farming at this point. VP just trying to pick up the pace when it comes to taking lanes. They are going to have Lion rotate into mid, just do a little bit of harassment damage, but not much of it. Gonna come of it at this point. Trying to go on to Pasha here before he can actually get his Primal Split level 6. He's a ways away. They won't be able to kill him, but they do bring him pretty low. Chalice is done with that top lane. It seems they're gonna give up on that safe lane tower.
aced. This is a big rune, and I'd like to see them connect to somewhere else. Don't stop the aggression. We saw once he got the Helm of Dom on the Enigma, he takes that top tower. You want to just get everything you can out of the map. Going towards this bottom lane, I think, would be a huge win for them if they could kill Chalice again. This would completely slow down his game because heroes that don't have natural built-in teamfight abilities, they never like dying this many times in a row. Because they need the net worth advantage to really get their presence felt on the map. As they're going to run into the Nyx first.
Oh,
no
look
one
at him.
knows.
They're
He's on the
just
chase.
ignoring the Nyx assassin, going straight for the Necrophos, who's going to pop the Ghost Shroud. And they might be able to bring Solo a little bit low, but they're just going to be kited now by the Malefice. And there is going to be a core dead. They're going to turn back to FY and go for him now. He does have the Spike Carapace to buy him just the smallest bit of space, but doesn't hit the double impale as no one using his haste ring to try and get in front of FY as much as possible. He doesn't have a disable. FY waving to him here. Solo is actually trying to, from the low ground, get some sort of disable out, but he's a bit too far away. No one forced to retreat as the Storm Spirit shows up. That right there is a big advantage of being the aggressors, right? They take that safe lane tower and are still able to defend their own with that really cool smoke move.
Yeah, I'd really like them, by the way, to be able to take mid next on VP before PSG LGD can take that bottom tower. That'd be where you can kind of hem the map in and make it really hard for the Drow, the Storm, and the Necrophos to just go for the jungle. And what that means is one of these cores has to commit to being in the lane, and that will open up the opportunities for you to get kills on the map.
Right.
It's by forcing two people to go to the jungle. Somebody feels like they have to open up the map somehow, and that's why Chalice continues to go to this bottom lane, and he continues to go to the lanes because he already has two cores that want to farm out the jungle. This is the weakness of PSG LGD's lineup, in that it is very greedy.
Level 6 for the Brewmaster. PSG LGD are not able to fight here, so looks like they're going to have to give away 3 bounty runes unless... No. Fly wasn't able to get it. Now for the low ground. This is the play that Solo was looking for earlier. Doesn't just get the impale on the Nyx assassin, the Hex on Chalice. Chase still not level 6. They're going to pop the Primal Split here. Nice Centaur stun. They get the follow-up. No one from LGD is showing up here anymore. They know this is not a fight they can take. They know this is a tower they can't defend.
Yeah, and if you notice, during this entire time, Amit's just farming the jungle. Like, this is what we mean about the difficulties of once you lose this top tower, once you get aggressive on the map, you can just sort of push the pace and make it very hard for them to keep up.
Yeah. Yeah, you could see he was farming the offlane jungle quite a bit, trying to do those Ancients. The Storm was farming up the jungle as well. As he sees all those heroes bottom, shows up in lane at top. The Storm Spirit was also pushing in mid during that time. Once they reveal, like once VP make their big move, that's when these other two cores can try and push out the other lanes.
Yeah. And it's still the top 2 cores in the game on PSG LGD because they farm neutral so fast, and we see a commitment from no one just going around the map, setting up for kills, setting up for tower pressures. So you have to continue to play at this pace because the worst thing in the world for VP is to get into a farming war with this lineup. To slow down the pace intentionally, you don't really need items with the type of lineup that you have.
This is going to help a lot. Now that FY is level 6, being able to go invis and just see these rotations come across, right? LGD wants to be able to dodge a lot of these early fights. And they're actually maybe giving up a tower here as Roger's going to try and make his way over here. Kills the Siege Wagon, gets the deny. Very well played by Roger. But I feel like that was simultaneously an unnecessary loss for VP.
Yeah, that was a tower that was at full HP, and they committed a lot to defending that. I know a lot of people think to themselves, like, what's the big deal? Like, it's just a bottom tier 1, but if you notice, like, when they actually made the kill happen towards bottom lane, they weren't able to take the tower themselves.
Yeah.
And so it feels like those kills end up not really changing the course of the game. And that's what matters in Dota is these one-off kills, even though you're up 7k, you see the lead's only 1k. That's the beauty of Dota is that the objectives will always just matter more.
The Ursa going for a hand of Midas here. It's a little bit surprising. Maybe that means because he's going to be spending so much time running around going for kills, that he wants something that can help him farm as well.
1 second faster than this match's average.
They are going to be able to find top lane. Finger of Death laid out, helping to get the kill. A big one at that on maybe Storm Spirit. Now with maybe Storm Spirit down, as you said it, they're going to push mid.
I'd like everybody to come here right now.
Yeah, Pasha's going to make sure to TP in right now. He has Primal Split. This completely dissuades LGD from taking a fight, but they may still go for it.
if they see the right kind of opening, but that's not the opening they wanted. Great silence push back there. That'll help save FY's life, but a good slight change into the Centaur stun as well. Chalice is trying to keep these heroes alive and trying to frontline, but they just run right past them, and as LGD is pushed back, they turn back into Chalice and quickly kill.
Storm's coming with the DD.
Out the black hole, out with the TP in. They catch him as he TP's out. They're going to be able to get one stem. Now the chains, and he's dead. He just died at top, comes back in, dies again. A blistering pace being picked up by Virtus Pro as LGD.
Oh, this is beautiful. I love when they do this move. They do this in every game. If they take your mid tier 1 tower and your top tier 1 and they have a way to roach, they'll always do it. They've done this with Juggernaut, they've done this with Ursa every single time they have this hero. This is how you set a tempo. But they're going to want to fight this on PSG LGD.
I'm not sure if they can get there in time. They have the scan, but no one is really close. There is just the Nyx Assassin who is in the neighborhood. That is an Aegis, and he just picked up Hand of Midas, and is going to be able to pick up his Flame Dagger in just a minute. So this is, like, his Hand of Midas is not going to slow down his timing really at all.
This is so well done by PSG LGD. As we watch the replay again, it's Roger's positioning too, and his micro on his creep blew this fight open. You see right here, the Centaur Stomp makes it so awkward. They're all gathered up. No one's positioning over the top.
I love how they like push him back and then just go right back into Chalice, just surrounding him.
Just the immediate black hole pop. Storm has no chance to cancel, and he had a DD rune. That's the reason why he TP'd in the first place. Maybe most likely told his team, "I've got DD rune. I'm gonna just destroy this fight."
Yeah. Soon a Maelstrom for no one, so his farm is really going to start picking up, and you can see those cores on the VP side are beginning to eclipse LGD as they're now 4,000 net worth ahead. Drow Ranger is still ahead of everybody just because of the speed at which he can farm up that jungle. And oh, look at that, another Hand of Midas actually. Pasha is going to go back for it, so even though their lineup is meant to be aggressive, they're supposed to take the early tempo, they're still trying to secure some of their later game with these early Hand of Midas pickups.
Yeah, and it's just the experience that they need, because they know that it's most likely just Ame farming nonstop.
Yeah.
You don't want your course to get behind against Zero, because I think the best thing that she does is she has the ability to 1v5 later on with very minimal items.
Trying to go for the Hurricane Pike against some of these melee cores like the Ursa. I mean, that's going to be a lot of Ramsey's job, is just being able to blink and get on top of the Drow Ranger. They take the tier 1 bottom and keep pushing. They're the ones with the Aegis right now. They're going to dare LGD to try and stop them. LGD wise enough to know this is not a fight they want to take. They just spread up all around the map, just trying to split push as much as possible. Won't really be able to take any objectives. And look at this, VP is going to dare LGD once more. You must fight us at some point. We're going to go for the high ground. We're going to force all of you back. We'll see what happens from there.
I think they're just trying to bring them back to the base.
Yeah.
I'd be somewhat surprised if they actually decided to all-in commit this early on.
It would take, I think, a pretty big mispositioning blunder from LGD.
X-Nova. He's found somebody.
Oh, what is this positioning from X-Nova? Sneaking around the back line, trying to catch somebody as they retreat, but VP is not that too far away. They're going to make the long jump in from maybe, trying to go on the Bane, actually does die to Finger Death, but now that means Solo's going to be caught up as maybe runs him down too. Double kill, out of mana though. A great little pickup by LGD. They were forced to TP back to their base, yes, but it all comes worth it if you can get the kills like that.
I think part of that too is that the Ursa showed for a brief second when he went towards that top lane and disengaged, and that was PSG LGD's chance to say, let's run at them, take advantage of this. VP did something very similar in last game. Whenever anybody shows and you're ready for the 5-on-5 and they're not, the numbers advantage is what will negate your net worth disadvantage.
Yeah.
Because with the Ursa out of the fight, that's 8k that VP just loses, plus his abilities.
Yeah, and his Aegis. Arcane Boots and straight mech for Chalice.
Oh, look at this, the instant D-ward.
No!
Never feels good.
That definitely does not feel good for LGD because they're already being hemmed in. They're having to sit behind their tier 2s right now. Now an aggressive move, going straight for Chalice, trying to blow him up. FY trying to intercept with his spike carapace, does manage to stall off the Ember Spear's damage, but the Ghost Shroud's going to fade eventually, and Chalice is going to be found here. Diving in, FY, they're going to go for him next. Should be able to just chain disable him. 2 kills for Virtus Pro as they surround this mid-tier tower. one of the last remaining towers for LGD.
Pasha's ult just makes it so hard for them to fight right now. And he's playing these fights so perfectly.
Look at Solo in his positioning. Maybe he's going to be able to come in here, taking away the Aegis of the Ursa.
Roger wants
LGD, they result back to the high ground. Roger's trying to go back and forth here, but he's just being kited by the frost arrows. And now Ame, with that Hurricane Pike, will be able to get away from the Ursa. They're going to wait out the ending range. The Nightmare, it'll fade eventually, and they're just going to continue to get those frost arrows. Oh, the Challenge Reaper sight! Not going to be good enough to kill Pasha yet, but the Impale is going to be enough to finish off, and the Ursa dies as well. A huge fight for LGD as VP and all their aggression got them ahead in this game, but now it cost them control. And it's a dead even game once again.
Because of the Ursa's Aegis, they just go for the dive thinking, well, there's no way we can lose the fight. But the game is early on enough where everyone just respawns really quickly, and now you don't have Pasha's ulti. And despite winning this game for 18 minutes, I think with this tower, they're actually going to be behind in net worth, actually just about ahead. Yeah. Which is insane to think about, because a second ago, PSG LGD only have 1 kill on the map.
Nightmare. Fiend's grip up. Nobody's nearby. This is a guaranteed kill, and now you have your PSG LGD is now ahead, and is now definitely winning this game. What a swift turnaround. One blunder by VP is all it takes.
They needed to stomp this early in mid-game, and they were until that one error. And it's because their lineup can't continue to chase.
Yeah.
Nobody can follow the Ursa in like that. You saw Ame's positioning. He's hanging out a tier 3 tower with the Hurricane Pike. There's no hero that can get on top of him on the side of VP, aside from the Ember Spirit, but he doesn't have the defensive item to feel comfortable enough to commit all 3 remnants, because she'll just Hurricane Pike and reset that fight.
And the fact that they hadn't finished off the tier 2 means that Challenge is able to TP in and basically sandwich VP. A good gust from the Drow Ranger will allow LGD to get back.
FY should know about that.
Yeah, he died to that sentry, or lost his ward to this sentry earlier.
Young JJ, pull up the graph. Let's see it. For the most of the game, aside from like that one brief moment at the 5-minute mark.
And a Midas. I mean, Pasha has been building that one for a while and only just now picks it up. Yeah, 4.5 minutes slower than average.
All they had to do, I think, in that position was hit the tier 2.
Yes.
There was no way that PSG LGD wanted to fight head on. Ame was hanging out by a tier 3. That's how you knew he wasn't going to risk anything, but the fight came to him perfectly. He got a 3-man silence off. Pasha doesn't have ulti, so he has no way to gap close. That's the big part about this brew ulti, is in the mid game it makes you feel invincible, because you know that your brew can just walk in for free behind enemy lines, and there's no opportunity cost to that.
And now we're going to have just a big difference in items from last fight to the next one. Guardian Greaves almost complete. For Chalice, we're going to have the Bloodstone for the Storm Spirit as well. I'm not sure what Ame has, because he had the Hurricane Pike earlier, so I'm sure he's moving on to the next item.
BP have to go for a smoke again around all their ulti timings. It looks like they're waiting for the BKB on Ramses, but I feel like this slows down your game a lot. Now that you have to wait another 1,000 gold, you don't want to have to be dependent on these items to take fights, but I think unfortunately because of the last situation, you sort of have to. And that's why we favored LGD's lineup, because you can't expect VP to play perfect Dota and run that aggression non-stop.
Good gank on the Helmet Dominator creep, netting maybe an extra 200 gold.
They still can definitely win though.
They're going to be able to find X-Nova.
They have very good team fight ultis to be able to come back into this game. They have good control for the Storm in solo, so it's not like the game is over. It's just unfortunate where it's gone now.
FY just fearless. He just keeps on running through that sentry over and over and over again, and VP keep on running towards him, but then he's always out of range. Oh, missed the spike. Carapace is still going to get some damage on the Pasha. Burn him out of mana, I guess.
He's just poking around.
I guess.
He did force everybody to come to...
It worked.
To Pasha, because I think they assumed the only reason you would do that is if there was like a Storm zipping through and a Necro about to come over the top with an ulti.
Yeah.
To Pasha, because I think they assumed the only reason
pretty smart.
to do that is if there was like a storm.
Otosorb next for the Necrophos.
With an ulti.
Yeah.
As a butterfly is almost now completed on Ame. This is going to counter the heavy physical damage lineup that VP have. This really hurts the Ursa.
Yeah. I mean, he's already has a bit of trouble because we don't have this like blink, you know, Abyssal Blade sort of build where you just get on top of him and bash him to death. It's already a struggle to be able to get close to that Drow Ranger. The Hurricane Pike. Now even if you do, could be a lot of that evasion coming into play. Look at FY. It's just he knows his job really well. As soon as he got his level 6, he starts positioning himself super aggressively and giving his team just the knowledge of where VP is and the ability to break those smokes.
Yeah, I know a lot of fans hate when their teams pick like Nyx first 2, but this is part of the reason why you do so. Is because you can put so much pressure on the enemy team. In professional Dota, breaking smokes is such a big deal, but they might actually
close that distance. Chalice is going to be in trouble here. Chain disables, Finger of Death goes out, but he has the Guardian Greaves to be able to help him out a lot. The BKB activated by Ramsey, so, and this is sure to make sure this fight is definitely going to go the way of VP. As they run down one court, going to be able to catch FY. They can run back over to the Bane, who was, oh, they're going to go for his Spirit. He got found out. He gets isolated from his team. You need to get out on VP. They're going to try and come back in. Now Chalice did TP in with double buybacks here. Virtus Pro, a master tree. Ramses, oh, what a TP away from him. A close call, but does get out.
And not the worst situation at all for VP because 2 buybacks were expended. As FY still on the hunt, he's going to run into Solo here. Is there a follow-up?
There is going to be a jump from the Storm Spirit to ensure the kill.
Maybe they go Roche now.
Yeah, possibly.
I think if you don't kill the Lions, you might not go for the Roche, but look how quick this is.
It is dying so fast. Aegis, Cheese, what a big difference this next fight is going to be now. Is that Necrophos is going to be, or excuse me, the Storm Spirit. You can't really burst him down. He's got Bloodstone Cheese. Aegis on the Drow. LGD, finally they can play a lot more aggressively. We've seen them kind of reacting to VP's aggression, but with that sort of play.
And a critical pickup for the Storm too. Building that BKB. This is his only dies if he gets Black Hole item. And Solo, it's hard for them to protect him unless they commit the Black Hole. And there are multiple ways for them to cancel and get on top of him.
FY. Vendetta, oh, Spike Carapace is going to be able to buy him some time out of here, and that big mistake from Roger, the double chainsaw on the side, and then get on top of these heroes, maybe to be okay, but Ramsey's already taken so much damage, pops BKB, trying to finish up this Drow Ranger, but that is going to be the Aegis. Meanwhile, that is a permanent death, unless we buy back, and that's going to be Brewmaster and Enigma, trying to TP on the shrines and join this. They get the silence, just keeps on poking him, but he's been silenced up, he's taking so much physical damage, but LGD, very cool, just holding on to their high ground, knowing VP, they blew these buybacks and they can't actually get into LGD for a second round.
I love that move by PSG LGD. Just back up.
Yeah.
Reset the fight. You know that there's a Brew ulti and an Enigma Black Hole. Both of those guys committed buyback. Why risk the fight at that point? Now you put all the pressure on a VP. They committed two buybacks, 1 core buyback. It really slows down the Brew game. Who, I mean, he's significantly behind everybody else, even with this Midas. And VP, I was wondering when their lineup would start to kind of run into this issue. And here it is.
Bit earlier than VP was expecting, that's for sure. Is that one team fight cost them so much control. The Roshan, another big problem. I mean, this is an Ursa lineup after all. It thrives on being able to pick up Aegis after Aegis.
Yeah, what PSG LGD is doing is, in the drafts, they're making it so that they're just slightly outgreed VP. Because they know, every team knows that VP just loves the team fight. They love to be able to bludgeon you in team fights, take these little leads that add up so quickly, and just end the game. So PSG LGD is making sure with their lineups that at some point they can fight.
Look at VP, they're playing on the high ground right now. If LGD committed for that kill on Ursa, it would be a terrible fight for them. So they do actually make the read back up. And now going to try and play around their vision. They're going to go for the Enigma. They have the chain disables. They have the silence as well. The Enigma is dead. No buyback there. Thieves grip in the back line. A beautiful one. Somebody stop him. Controlling up Ramses. He finally does get unleashed and managed to get off the enrage, but he's already taken down so much damage. He will fall as the Stormtear runs him down. He's going to try and go for no one as well. No one does have the escape, but Pacha may not as he does come back in.
but doesn't have a blink. He does have a TP though, and it looks like they were just off the mark. They were feeling with the courier, which was a cool play, but they didn't have the disable ready to go.
That was so well done by X-Nova. His team fight positioning, he was so far to the left that no one could stop him from Fiend's gripping onto that Ursa, who just wastes his BKB as a result. And the wherewithal to like figure out, oh okay, the Enigma has shown himself, and if I go on the Enigma, there's absolutely no way that I can get stopped.
Yeah.
Maybe pops the BKB, gets the back line, and I was hoping that fight would be closer just for my entertainment's sake, but PSG, LGD, they just layered their team fight too well.
Yeah,
they're so decisive with how they're fighting too.
Hame, look at this build.
Yeah, going for the Satanic so that he can fight up non-stop, and also for the status resistance against all these heroes, I think is also really effective. And just getting more HP on these heroes to make them like, you don't really think about it, it's like they're stealthily very tanky. You've got 2,500 HP on the Storm, 2,300 HP on this Drow Ranger. Even if you disable them, you need to lay everything into them.
Yeah. I mean, VP is so burst-oriented. Meanwhile, LGD should eventually win the fight with these heroes like Necrophos and Storm Spirit. As long as they just can kind of survive through most of it and don't get a massive black hole. I guess that's the other big turnaround. That's the real hope for VP is that they do have this incredible team fight in the Enigma and the black hole.
I still think VP can do it. It's just like every successive team fight like that, it gets harder and harder because the Drow Ranger is so good against everybody on VP's lineup.
Yeah. Oh, successful scan from PSG LGD. But you notice this is a big difference for them. They feel pretty confident about how far they are right now, and they're willing to stick around and play for these bounty runes and see if VP come off of their high ground.
They do have a blink on this Enigma. This could be what blows open the game. As they're running
Each other now. Is going to be spotted here. Looking to be able to burst him down as quick as possible. The Great Nightmare comes out from X-Nova. The burst damage bringing death. It is almost going to be enough. X-Nova actually with the Fiend Scream Chalice getting away. Double force stabbed away. No one heavily committing to be able to finish off Chalice here with the BKB activated. They also have to top it to the Drow Ranger. Now Ame is super tanky, but it doesn't matter too much to an Ursa who just builds something damage to be able to finish him off. Now no one did jump to the back line. He already finished off the Enigma. Now it looks like he's just trying to hide away, look for a safe spot to be able to TP out or maybe pop out and farm some creeps again. Because this is no longer a fight they can take. X-Nova does manage to get the Nightmare here, but no one will catch him eventually. X-Nova will add a third kill to VP's successful team fight.
Very, very well done. And that all starts with them having to commit so much to saving Chalice, and the BKB from the Ember Spirit, it finally allows him to play Dota, because in every other fight he was just getting silenced and popped in 3 hits.
Yeah.
Now he has the ability to follow up his Ursa. You've got a Blink Dagger on the Ursa too, whereas before he didn't have it, he was just slowly walking towards the Drow Ranger. And she had to commit a Hurricane Pike to saving Chalice. Like, that was the perfect situation for Virtus Pro. They take such good advantage of that. And both these teams, what they're so good at is, if you make a mistake, if you waste an item, everyone's hyper aware of that.
And what do you think that mistake was in that team fight? Like, what happened that VP was finally able to just kind of like run over LGD?
They weren't able to find the Enigma. That was the big thing, is that
It took a while. No one had to commit, or excuse me, maybe had to like jump and jump.
Roger changed his positioning because he understands that he's so vulnerable, and that he's the counter to the Storm and all these BKBs, that if he gets caught out to start the fight is over.
Yeah.
It's very easy to kite from there on out. So this time, they start the jump. Roger's hidden the entire time with his Blink Dagger, and even when he dies there and he has to waste his Black Hole, it doesn't really matter because the job has been done.
Yeah.
His team was able to catch the back line, and they were finally able to get on top of these heroes. Plus, once the Force Staff or the Hurricane Pike is committed to saving Chalice, he's dead.
Yeah.
There's no real way to save him after, and the Drow has also used her escape mechanism, and she can't 1v4 against the Bruce Split, the Ursa running at her. There's just too many things that run on top of her. Still a difficult fight for VP to win, but this is what a successful team fight has to look like.
Yeah. I mean, there were so many ideal situations there, especially them being able to get so close, just the proximity of their heroes. They got right on top.
That was well done, though, because they knew they were going to be at that bounty room.
Yeah.
That was their gamble. That completely paid off.
Even just Pasha's little play where he plays up into the trees.
Yes.
Where he basically gets in melee range when he finally pops out during that
So
battle.
well done by VP.
5-man smoke though from LGD. Yes, they lost the last team fight, but they're still 5,000 net worth up. And if they can, especially if they could secure another Roshan, I'm not sure how VP could contest that.
Yeah. Right now it's the game of can we find the Enigma versus VP's can we get to the back line.
Yeah.
This is what the game has sort of boiled down to in the simplest terms. And that's always the coolest part is like, once you realize what the win conditions are for both teams, how both decide to adjust. Because in the previous game, they were like, we just have to protect our supports, and the game is really easy. And VP realized that like really early on, and it took PSG LGD a second to sort of catch on to how VP was going to take the fights. And now it's the same thing where if VP can make the correct adjustment, maybe they can still pull this rabbit out of the hat.
I think they saw Roger for a moment there, and that's why the Stormtrooper is going to jump. Trying to go, but immediately gets hexed up. Now the two-man set as well. The Finger of Death onto the Stormtrooper, but he does have a Bloodstone as well as a double damage, and they are wary to be able to fight LGD right now. The BKB has been used, and VP, knowing that, are going to go back in, see if they can be able to catch some heroes. The force cap doesn't actually get him over this high ground. He's going to be stuck here until another force cap breaks down. That's all it is for Ramsey to be able to get on top of Abe. A good Fiend Script, a Black Hole going down, instantly canceled those. Despite Cranberry's almost not Reaper side cutting him down, but not good enough. And now they jump in. They're going to go for Roger. They do manage to take him out, but at the same time, the Drill Ranger's dead. Doesn't have a buyback. Bane set as well, and the Sword's here. Necrophone's going to be bashed up. They immediately get the Hex down. The Sword's here. Ignore the Necrophones. Kill the Storm, and they do get him. And now, Chalice, let's just run him down eventually here because LGD, they don't have any buybacks whatsoever. Trying to go for the DP away, but he gets it. No way. No bashes from the Ursa. A little bit of luck there. LGD does manage to survive on Chalice, but still a huge win for VP.
You saw right there, PSG LGD, they see the Enigma for half a second, they all in commit, and everyone from VP gathers up around him. And it was the Storm not committing the BKB there.
Yeah.
That's what cost them that. It was the Storm not committing BKB. If you commit BKB, you all in with your DD on that Enigma, he dies, you win this team fight. And it's Chalice, he missed Force Staff, he forces Ame to then use his Force Staff, and at that point, Ramsey very smartly knows that both Force Staffs have been committed. He all-ins for the Drow Ranger, she has no way to escape him. They have to be better about this.
Yeah.
Chalice can't be caught in those positions, and maybe has to be more willing to just BKB all-in on the Enigma.
Don't be greedy on your jump. We got it props to Solo as well.
Oh,
how fast was that Hex? It was like he was pre-casting an area.
Yeah, because I think he realized the Enigma has been spotted.
Yeah.
He is the #1 fugitive, most wanted man. Roger is public enemy #1. If you kill him in these fights, it becomes really hard for VP to win. That's why VP has made the correct adjustment. Protect this man at all costs. The threat of his black hole alone will win you the fight. And Ame has to adjust. You just have to let Chalice die there.
Yeah.
Every time he's used his Force Staff to try to bail that Necro out, he's died. Because Ramses makes the read, I'm going to go in. You see right here, the instant Hex.
Oh, so fast. And it just turns out he gets a really good impale to follow that up, and the fight's over from there.
Yes.
Like, once maybe he's forced to use his BKB and he's low like that, that's where the Ember Spirit
I think you
jumps
just
in.
let Chalice die here. He misses, he doesn't get on top of the low ground from there, but watch right here. Ame bails him out with the Force Staff, and instantly Ramses responds by jumping on top of him.
Yeah, he could have blinked sooner. He could have blinked on top of Chalice, but he knew, I want that real backline. I don't care about Necrophos with this Aeon Disc and all this healing. I need that Drow Ranger every time.
If that fight, in ideal situation, PSG LGD admit they messed up. They're like, okay, whatever. Our Storm at least lived. We lose our Nyx Assassin and our Necrophos. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just reset. But it's their unwillingness to lose any hero that's really costing them here. And I really feel like if the Storm just... I don't think he expected that fast of a reaction, but while you touch down, you pop your DD rune and your BKB, there's nothing that the Enigma can do. And at that point, the fight is completely won in your favor.
Yeah, they don't have the Abyssal Blade yet for the Ursa, so they have no BKB piercing guaranteed disable.
Yes. And with the DD rune, he kills him real quick.
Yeah.
Dire's bottom shrine is under attack.
As it is, though, that Abyssal Blade is going to be coming in soon. The Necrophos with the Aeon Disc feels pretty important because the last couple of fights, you know, he's been bursted down so quickly. This would very much slow down VP's momentum in an engagement.
And VP, I mean,
there it is, the Abyssal Blade, MKB. 5-second BKB, and he's actually the one holding on to the Refresher Shard.
yeah, VP, though, are so insane at taking advantage of mistakes.
Yeah.
Like, that is... this is how they make all those, like, whenever they play a lesser team, they make them look so much worse than they are. Because they just exploit you at every turn. Everyone is hyper aware of how the team fights are supposed to take place. They know when something's been used. That's why you saw Ramses with that instant reaction on top of that Jaw Ranger. You think he makes that play if he doesn't realize that the Force Staff's instantly been used?
Yeah, for sure.
Dire's top shrine is under
And now
attack.
a Hex for the Storm Spirit.
Yeah.
He wants the instant jump. Game is still relatively even. VP have dragged it back in their favor.
Win this fight, I mean, I guess they do have two different BKB piercing disables. I'm just thinking, like, does Roger really want the Guardian Grease? What about straight for the BKB? And yeah, that's exactly what he's doing. If the Bane and or the Necrophos has to blow their ultimate to stop this black hole,
Yeah, well worth it for them.
Dire's top
absolutely.
tower is under attack.
I mean, just the proximity of these heroes forced to get close to stop the black hole.
And they want to use this Aegis Cheese. They're waiting for somebody to show up, and that's going to be Chalice, but not the target that they necessarily want to go for. With his Aeon Disc, really hard to pop. Now everyone building a Hex, they're gearing up for the late game here.
Seemed like they're a bit low to try and back up and defend this tier 2, but Ramses finally does.
Ramses has picked up a big item too. The finishing of the Abyssal Blade makes life just much more dangerous. That's one of my favorite combos, being able to Abyssal Blade, then come over the top with the Enigma's BKB Black Hole. It makes it really hard now for maybe to play. And now he's lost his window where he can just burst the Enigma without having to commit as
Silence goes out, and one Force Staff being used to try and save X-Nova here. The BKB being popped by no one does give PSG LHB an advantage in future fights as long as they don't die. And sure enough, they do escape cleanly.
a Lotus Sword, by the way, on the Brew. That's what we saw earlier when the Enigma got gone on in engagement. And now the BKB finished. They're completing so many items.
These Hand of Midases are beginning to pay off. Bosch's game was definitely stalled up at one point, but now they're just going to have a full AC.
They just picked up 4 bounty runes too.
Yeah.
So PSG LGD, 2 terrible team fights in a row, leads to and 2 beautiful team fights in a row by VP. Give them all the credit in the world for how quickly they were able to respond.
Crazy roller coaster of a game, really proving that sometimes, you know, you have certain ideas about the drafts, but it's the play in the game and how you take these fights that can be all important. Pasha can pick up his plate mail and finish up the AC with a recipe, but he's going to continue to show himself bot lane while the rest of his team makes a sneaky little maneuver.
They won't expect this because the Aegis is down.
Into the jungle, they're going to run into Magneto, who did have the vision. He's able to get the vision after the jump. The Hex fall. A Nightmare might just save it until no, the first damage comes in. What an insane interaction. It's this picture perfect there. They got the Abyssal Blade at the same time as he made the jump away.
Didn't jump far enough.
Insane. Lincoln's now complete for the Ember Spirit, but a pick off on the Storm Spirit. They want to force him into a buyback here.
And maybe it looked like he knew that was going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, he had the right positioning. He was laying down Remnant for vision and everything. But
Radiant's top tower is under
no one.
Too greedy with his zip and
There's the buyback. Will Virtus pick up? There's a long zip in from Storm Spirit, just doing some good initial damage. And the DP's away. Well, Soul actually canceling his. Apparently the team makes the call that they want to stay in this area. The Ember Spirit can leave because he can always jump to his Spirit.
Dire's bottom tower is under attack.
And that's probably a good call too. At no point do you want to give up control. If you're VP, you are just sitting right outside. And that's probably a good call too. A momentary glimpse back in time.
that's, I mean, it's not irrelevant. That was with the fight that got them back in this position.
Yeah.
I wanted to see the range Abyssal.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what they're going to be able to throw up there. 13,000 net worth lead for VP right now, 27 to 15, 42 minutes in.
Oh,
You're definitely going the distance here in this game too, and maybe going the distance in this series.
I hope
if
we do.
Virtus Pro can pull out the win.
I could do with another one of these games.
Yeah, me too.
Give me a game 3, because now we're gonna see
We're
it.
going to see it again.
He sees them for a while too.
At the same time.
just insane. There's no way he should have been caught by that Abyssal. And even if he somehow did, if he just made a longer jump, he couldn't have gotten away.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that, again, props to VP for reacting so quickly. Yeah, maybe got a little bit lucky. Ice Frog was fiddling in the system a bit to help out VP, but
It was a good smoke. Plus, I want a game 3, so.
yeah.
I'm down for stuff like that happening.
But LGD don't want that. It's probably been an exhausting game 1 and game 2 already. And that's why they're going to go for the aggressive maneuver here. The 5-man smoke out. Drow Ranger actually popping her own smoke just to push in this mid lane. And that's why they're going to go VP. This time it's their turn to be cautious. Why is this Drow Ranger pushing out so far?
She's been scared the entire time.
Yeah.
Nobody's been showing on the map.
There's got to be a reason for this. Pasha, he'll go ahead and show himself, feeling confident that he's tanking up, but maybe he's not. He wants a Lotus Orb, but he's taking so much in his hands. The Ice goes up. The Reaper side brings him down. He immediately finds back though. Oh, the Abyssal Blade. Yes, he got on the sword to him. Maybe he's able to make one more jump. Oh, so instead he turns for the Nyx. As he goes up to help him. There is the black hole. The Fiend's Grip used to stop that one. The Amdis buying Charles a lot of time. Ramsey, while they are able to finish up this Bane. Ramsey beats the black hole. The BKB refresher shot coming into play. Securing the fight. Now LGD on the ropes, forced to buy back. FY being spotted by Solo is able to get the Hex to start things off. The follow-up disables from no one as well. Grabbing the finger of death, ready to let it go. Now he can pop it if he wants to, but he wants to keep that extra damage for the next fight. And that next fight could be the end here for LGD in game 2, as they're gonna have no buybacks left at this rate.
Pushing down towards the bottom. They want this to be their final march. They used the buyback on the Pasha to make this happen. The Storm gonna zip, try to kill the Creeper, the instant glyph.
It's looking good for VP, but at the same time, it's so hard to push high ground against the Storm Spirit. The 2-man silence out from the Drow Rangers. A good way to be able to push him back. The Lotus Sword helping things along. Ramsey's very low. The Ember's and he cores it just like that. Yeah, Ramsey being controlled. LGD kind of rounded. Oh, he's gonna go for the he's managed to get it before he dies. VP, this time it's their time to lose a fight. LGD do successfully hold. Don't lose the second lane of Brax. It costs them so many buybacks.
And there's no buyback now on Pasha.
Yeah.
If there's an opportunity to take towers, they only lost one hero. He doesn't really contribute. You can gather up and take a lot of real estate right now.
Can they actually do more? Can they actually, for example, take
all the
Roshan?
buybacks?
It just spawned.
It's going to be a 4-on-4. Roshan is up and available for both teams. They don't have Black Hole though on the Enigma, but still VP want to fight this. They don't want to give this up for free, but if they lose this fight, this could be so critical as Ame going to pick up an Arcane Rune to couple with his cooldown talents.
I think this is fine for VP in their heads as long as Roshan isn't being taken. It's great.
Yes.
Because I don't know if they could take a a fight without Black Hole, honestly.
This is just their way of scaring them off. The threat should be alone.
They're not that scared. They may not be taking Roshan right now, but they took a tier 2 and they still have 45 seconds to work with.
Yeah, and that was an 11k lead cut down to 5 for a second. But looks like they want to commit to this Roshan anyways. It's likely that Virtus Pro had used the smoke. I think that's the assumption that PSG LGD is going off of. And with the racks down and the position that they're in, I think they just have to play for the win. Their Nyx is about to be
long jump in. Roshan dropping low. The Ember Spirit does have a Spirit in. He's going to jump in now. Pop his BKB. Immediately LGD retreat. Thinking VP is not going to be able to commit to take that Roshan. And it looks like they're right too. Challenge just gets some vision inside of the pit to make sure Roshan's still okay.
And now FY's coming.
They do manage to get the Abyssal Blade. 1-4 snap being used. Another one. He gets hit on top. The other side of the pit, but the Roshan goes down. Aegis is able to pick up on the Sword Spirit. There's no more. John Ranger the Black Hole. Look at it go. Controlling him on the feet. Good from the outside of the pit. Nave just keeps on nailing them. 2 dead. 150 seconds of the Lion. And LGD one more. They've got 5 up. If they could just catch more. Ramses, no. He completes the TP. If he had died there, in my head, there's no doubt LGD has just won the game, but maybe VP in a 4 versus 5, maybe they can still hold somehow.
They don't have the Black Hole now, and things get real complicated when you don't have Black Hole against PSG LGD's lineup, and that's why they're just going for the high ground. BKB still on cooldown too. They've got to be careful for this. VP, they committed so much to slowing down that Aegis.
They have the primal split, yes, but they don't have the black hole. VP, they're just poking right now. But how many buildings are they willing to give up at this point? How long can they wait for this line to come back?
And the Hex now completed from the Storm. This is such a useful tool for them to jump in, blow up one of these cores. They know that buybacks are low.
Invincible Stormtrade is in here right now with the Force Staff again, being able to save Ame. Now to jump in, they are going to be able to get the Reaper strike, trying to focus on Ramsey. Does manage to get the cheese off. He's going to be okay, but the lockdown of the Every Spirit, he's not. He's set for 2 minutes in LGD. Now they see the game in hand. All they have to do is keep this 5-man. Right versus 5. They're just going to go straight for the throne, and somehow Virtus Pro, they have to be able to pull a win out of this. Otherwise, they're knocked out of the tournament. But one tier 4 already down. LGD chopping down building after building. A black hole is up for Roger though. PSG LGD, they're aware of that. They're going to keep their positioning. They keep a nice spread. Another tier 4 down. Throne is dying fast. They make their jump in the right hand side. But the Throne is dying so fast. He needs to hold. He's going to go for the get down. But the Brewmaster, he's going to be dying here. Ame just focusing on these heroes. As Ramses is going to be caught in this. The Frost Heroes keeping him kind of around. And that is it. No one calling the GG. Virtus Pro are eliminated by LGD.
What a game. Team fight after team fight, world determined. It was that hold in that bottom lane that did, and the decision.